Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I'm Bex and I make cosy content to do with Hugo, family, food and home. I'm also opening an online Hugo lifestyle shop called Bramble and Fox in October. So if you'd like to follow me on my adventures of setting up a business and just generally want to know what I get up to over on Instagram, then why not follow me over there? So today I wanted to talk to you about two books that I've been reading lately that I think are really useful if you have small children and you like things to do with Hugo, nature, intentional living and intentional parenting. So grab yourself something cosy to drink, snuggle up and I'll get on into it. So the first book I wanted to talk to you about today is The Montessori Toddler. I first heard about this book from another vlogger called The Hidden Gem. She has lots and lots of useful videos to do with parenting from a sort of Montessori or sort of child-led approach. Lots of common sense advice on there, so I would definitely recommend her channel if this is the sort of thing that you're into as well. So I suppose the reason why I'm interested in Montessori is because I have a background in teaching and I'm interested in how children learn. But also when I started weaning Finley, my little boy, I took the baby-led weaning approach and I enjoyed it so much that really I just decided that I want to be a parent who takes a child-led approach to things. What I really like about this book in particular is that it takes the topic of Montessori parenting and breaks it down into very practical activities and practical guidance that you can carry out at home. Quite often with Montessori learning and Montessori parenting and education, it seems to be overcomplicated for what is essentially quite a simple concept, which is that you want to be led by their interests at certain points of their development and allowing them to have independence, which if you have a toddler you will know yourself that this stage is all about your child asserting a level of their own independence, that they can do things themselves and that they want to be the boss of themselves. It's certainly what I'm experiencing at the moment anyway. So the book is split into really handy short chapters, but what's also good about this book is that you can just flick through it to look at anything in particular that you might be struggling with or that you think you want to sort of focus on. And it's all sort of self-contained little sections, so you don't have to read the whole book in one sitting before you can get going with it, which I think is great if you want to go with this sort of approach. You've got a whole section on setting limits, dealing with tantrums, daily care. So with Montessori, you were very much encouraging your child to take responsibility for themselves at an early age. So for example, learning to set a table, pouring their own cereal into a bowl and then pouring the milk on top of it. There's a whole section that I'm finding really good at the moment just to do with the stereotypical sort of toddler behaviour. So the hitting, biting, pushing, throwing stage, and we're definitely in the midst of that over here. Dealing with frustration, dealing with a child who's clingy, dealing with changes. There's a whole section on screen time. But then there's also, as well as those sorts of traditional aspects of the things that you would see in a parenting book, you just also have lovely activities and suggestions for things to do. So with Montessori, there's a real emphasis on showing a child how to do an activity rather than overcomplicating it with words, which I really like. As coming from a teaching background, certainly I was taught to model things for children, so basically demonstrate or break a process down by showing someone how to do something. So the acronym SHOW is used, which is slow hands and omit words. So you use slow movements when demonstrating the process and try where possible not to use words, because toddlers find it difficult to process what you are saying to them at the same time as concentrating on the skill that's being shown to them. So there are these gorgeous demonstrations of activity trays that you can do to demonstrate things. So one is demonstrating how to set the table and little markings where you would put the knife, the fork and the glass and the plate. The idea of Montessori of using actual objects for our children, so for example proper plates, proper glasses, is quite a controversial one, and we have sort of taken a mixed approach to it. Generally Finley will use normal plates and handle normal cups and bowls and things. I haven't given him a proper glass as of yet, just because he's still very much attached to his sippy cup, but we are sort of transitioning from his sippy cup to a beaker now. Once he's a bit more confident with sort of tipping his head back to drink from the beaker, then I think we'll move on to a small IKEA tumbler, which I think is quite useful. There's a really good guide here to do with practical activities that you can do to include your child at certain ages. So for example, 12 to 18 months, being able to pour a glass of water or milk using a small jug, add milk to cereal, scoop cereal into a bowl, wipe up spills with a hand mitt. To sort of 18 months to 3 years, being able to peel and slice a banana, wash fruit and veg, wipe the table, load or unload the washing machine. So just general practical activities that toddlers love to help with anyway. Something else that I really like about the Montessori approach is the idea that children can just use everyday objects as toys, really, that they are just as interested in your wallet or your purse as they would be a plastic toy. So there's peg puzzles, threading, posting, nuts and bolts, pegboards and elastics. So I've given Finley an old purse of mine and I've put things inside the purse for him to find. He likes opening and closing the clasp, doing up the zip and putting things inside the purse. So it's about looking at what your child would find interesting from their perspective, as opposed to just here's a toy, play with this toy. Really, it's about learning and exploring the world together. The second book I want to recommend to you is Play the Forest School Way by Jane Worrell and Peter Horton. I first heard about forest schools when I was working as an editor for an education company, and at that point a forest school subscribed to the service that the company was providing, and I'd never really heard of them before that point and just fell in love with the concept of them. So forest schools are founded on the philosophy that education can be taught through nature and play-based activities. The concept comes from Scandinavia, where forest schools are commonplace, and they do teach a curriculum, but they teach that curriculum through outdoor activities and being in nature. So for example, you might look at snow and you might look at snowflakes, so you would look at the structure of a snowflake, the weather conditions relating to what needs to happen in order to get snow, do very sort of snow related activities that would hit all sorts of different parts of the curriculum using one particular stimulus. I really identify with that way of learning. I think children do learn best when they are engaging in something directly. So this book is great because it's aimed at a range of ages. It's from 3 to 11. So it's great if you have children of different ages and you're sort of struggling to think of what you can do that will keep all of them happy. This book is perfect for that. So there are sorts of woodland games, crafts and skills that you can do outdoors. There's an introduction to explain what the philosophy of forest schools are, and then it's just divided into lots of different activities, and each activity has some key information about it. So you have things to do with the location that it's best based for, age group, what sort of skills you would learn from the activity, and suggestions for equipment or kit that you might need. And these are just really basic things. So for the journey stick, it says Aboriginal people of Australia once created journey sticks to record their travels and help them retell their stories to others. On each journey stick they would tie different objects that represented the places that they have visited, as well as the feelings, thoughts and experiences they had along the way. The age group it would be for 4 and above, though I have done this activity easily with Finley, it just needs a little bit more assistance. And you learn imagination, creativity, focus, curiosity, fine motor skills, empathy and connecting with nature. And you just need some sticks that are easy to find, say in your local park or woodland, some lengths of string or wool in different colours, just to easily cut that to sort of size before you go out and put it in your pockets, and some rubber bands of different colours, and then you go around finding things to attach to the stick. It might be a leaf or a flower or a feather, and you just secure them to the stick with the string or the pieces of elastic band. And then when you've finished building up your journey stick, you can then use the stick as the focus of a retelling of the journey that you've gone on using the objects on the stick. There's woodland mapping, headdresses that you make out of natural materials that you found on your woodland walks, so leaves, flowers for example, and you secure them onto a strip of card that you would then sort of stick together at the end and create a headdress out of it. How to make a bow and arrow using a branch and some elastic. Basic knots if you have older children and they're going to sort of make a den in the woods. If you had a childhood like I did that was spent sort of building dens, sort of picking flowers, running wild through the fields, then this really is the sort of book for you. Or if you didn't have that sort of childhood and that's the sort of childhood you want for your children, then I can't recommend this book highly enough. Great to do if you want to go outside on a bit of an adventure and just do something a bit different. This is the perfect time of year to be doing this sort of activity as well, where you have all the autumn leaves falling off the trees and you're more likely to want to sort of go on a nature walk. So I would really recommend this book. I'll put links to both of the books in the description box below. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!